Please, thank you.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 23 Devahuti's Lamentation, Text 1. Maitreya Uvacha Pitrubhyam prasthite swadhi Patimintit Kovida Nityam Paryacharat Pritya Bhavaniva Bhavam Prabhum.
Maitreya continued. After the departure of her parents, the trusty woman Devahuti, who could understand the desires of her husband, served him constantly with great love, as Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, serves her husband.
Text 2. Vishrambhenatma shauchena Gauravena damena cha Shushrusaya sauhrudena Vacha madhuraya cha boho.
O Vidura, Devahuti served her husband with intimacy and great respect, with control of the senses, with love and with sweet words.
Text 3. Visruchya kamam dambham cha dvesham lobhamagam madam apramattodhyata nityam tejiyan samatoshayat.
Working sanely and diligently, she pleased her very powerful husband, giving up all lust, pride, envy, greed, sinful activities, and vanity.
Text 4 and 5. Savai devarshivayastam manavim samanuvratam Daivadvariya sahapatyu arashasanam mahashishah Kalena bhuyasa shamam Karshitam vratacharyaya Premagaddadaya vacha Viditaha krupaya bravit.
The daughter of Manu, who was fully devoted to her husband, looked upon him as greater ever than Providence. Thus she expected great blessings from him. Having served him for a long time, she grew weak and emaciated due to her religious observances. Seeing her condition, Kardama, the foremost of celestial sages, was overcome with compassion and spoke to her in a voice choked with great love.
Text 6. Kardama uvacha तुष्टोऽहमद्य तव मानवी मानदायः शुश्रूषया परमया परया च भक्त्या यो देहिनामयमतीव सुहृद्र देहो नावेक्षितः समुचितः क्षपितुं मदर्थे.
Kardama Muni said, O respectful daughter of Swayambhuva Manu, today I am very much pleased with you for your great devotion and most excellent loving service. Since the body is so dear to embodied beings, I am astonished that you have neglected your own body to use it on my behalf.
Text 7. ये मे स्वधर्मनिरतस्य तपः समाधि विद्यात्मयोगविजिता भगवत्प्रसादः तानेव ते मदनुसेवनया वरुद्धान् दृष्टिं प्रपश्य वितराभ्य अभयान् शोकान्.
Kardama Muni continued, I have achieved the blessings of the Lord in discharging my own religious life of austerity, meditation, and Krishna consciousness. Although you have not yet experienced these achievements, which are free from fear and lamentation, I shall offer them all to you because you are engaged in my service. Now just look at them. I am giving you the transcendental vision to see how nice they are.
Text 8. अन्ये पुनर्भगवतो भ्रुव उद्धिर्जुब विभ्रंशितार्थरचनः किमरुक्रमस्य सिद्धासि पुंक्ष्व विभवान्नि अधर्मदोहान् दिव्यान्नरते Trigantrupabhikriyabihi.
Kardama Muni continued, what is the use of enjoyments other than the Lord's grace? All material achievements are subject to be annihilated simply by a movement of the eyebrows of Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By your principles of devotion to your husband, you have achieved and can enjoy transcendental gifts very rarely obtained by persons proud of aristocracy and material possession.
Text 9. Evam Bruvanam Abalakila Yoga Maya Vidya Vichakshanam Aveksha Katadhirasit Samprashraya Pranaya Virulaya Gireshat Vridavalokam Vilasaddhasitananaha.
Upon hearing the speaking of her husband, who excelled in knowledge of all kinds of transcendental science, innocent Devahuti was very satisfied, her smiling face shining with a slightly bashful glance. She spoke in a choked voice because of great humility and love.
Text 10. Devahuti Uvacha Ratham Vijavruše Tadhamokhayoga Mayadipe Tvai Vibho Tadavaimi Bhartraha Yastebhyadhayi Samayaha Sakrudasango Bhuya Dariyasi Gunaha Prasavaha Satinam.
Sri Devahuti said, my dear husband, O best of the Brahmanas, I know that you have achieved perfection and are the master of all the infallible mystic powers because you are under the protection of Yoga Maya, the transcendental nature. But you once made a promise that our bodily union should now fulfill, since children are a great quality for a chastity woman who has a glorious husband.
Text 11. Tatreti Krityam Upashiksha Yathopadesham Yenaisha Me Karshito Tiriransayaatma Siddhete Te Krutamano Bhavadarshitaya Dinastadisha Bhavanam Sadrucham Vikchakshva.
Devahuti continued, my dear Lord, I am struck by excited emotion for you. Therefore, kindly make what arrangements must be made according to the scriptures, so that my skinny body, emaciated through unsatisfied passion, may be rendered fit for you. Also, my lord, please think of a suitable house for this purpose.
Text 12. Maitreya Uvacha Priyayaha Priyamachvin Manvichan Kardamo Yogamastitaha Vimanam Kamagam Kshattas Tarhe Vavirachikarat.
Maitreya continued, O Vidura, seeking to please his beloved wife, the sage Kardama exercised his yogic power and instantly produced an aerial mansion that could travel at his will.
Text 13. Sarvakamadugam Divyam Sarvaratna Samanvitam Sarvatyurpachayodarkam Manistambhe Rupaskrutam.
It was a wonderful structure, bedecked with all sorts of jewels, adorned with pillars of precious stones, and capable of yielding whatever one desired. It was equipped with every form of furniture and wealth, which tended to increase in the course of time.
Text 14 to 15. दिव्योपकरणोपेतं सर्वकालसुखावहं पट्टिकाभिः पताकाभिर्विचित्राभिरलङ्कृतं षडग्रिभिः दुकूलक्षोमकोशेयन् नानावस्त्रे विराजितम्.
The castle was fully equipped with all necessary paraphernalia, and it was pleasing in all seasons. It was decorated all around with flags, festoons, and artistic work of variegated colors. It was further embellished with wreaths of charming flowers that attracted sweetly humming bees, and with tapestries of linen, silk, and various other fabrics.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. And sorry if I made any mistake. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Bhada Mataji and Tejit Prabhu, for the Sanskrit and English recitation. Just want to check you can all hear me, okay?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can
Okay,
hear.
and I'm just going to share my screen. Just let me know that you can see the screen too. Okay. Hare Krishna, everyone. My name is Krishna Govind Dasa, and thank you for today, 7th of December, 2025, for today's chat class, which is on Canto 3, the status quo, Chapter 23, Devahuti's Lamentation, and the verse that we're reading is number 1 and 2 today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Narayana Namaskripcha Naram Chaiva Narottanam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtashu Bhadrashu Nitya Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavata Mutam Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki. Canto 3, Chapter 23, Verse 1. Matreo Vacha Matrebhya Prastite Sadvi Patte Mingita Govida Nityam Pariyacharat Pritya Bhavaniva Bhavam Prabhum. Translation. Maitreya continued, after the departure of her parents, the chaste woman Devahuti, who could understand the desires of her husband, served him constantly with great love, as Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, serves her husband. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The specific example of Bhavani is very significant. Bhavani means the wife of Bhava, or Lord Shiva. Bhavani or Parvati, the daughter of the king of the Himalayas, selected Lord Shiva, who appears to be just like a beggar, as her husband. In spite of her being a princess, she undertook all kinds of tribulations to associate with Lord Shiva, who did not even have a house, but was sitting underneath the trees and passing his time in meditation. Although Bhavani was the daughter of a very great king, she used to serve Lord Shiva just like a poor woman. Similarly, Devahuti was the daughter of an emperor, Swayambhuva Manu, yet she preferred to accept Kadama Muni as her husband. She served him with great love and affection, and she knew how to please him. Therefore, she is designated here as Sadhavi, which means a chaste, faithful wife. A rare example in the ideal of Vedic civilization. Every woman is expected to be as good and chaste as Devahuti or Bhavani. Today in Hindu society, unmarried girls are still taught to worship Lord Shiva with the idea that they may get husbands like him. Lord Shiva is the ideal husband, not in the senses of riches or sense gratification, but because he is the greatest of all devotees. Vaishnava Nam Yata Sambhu. Sambhu or Lord Shiva is the ideal Vaishnava. He constantly meditates upon Lord Rama, chants Hari Rama, 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 Hari Hari. Lord Shiva is a Vaishnava Sampradaya, which is called the Vishnuvami Sampradaya. Married girls worship Lord Shiva so that they can expect a husband who is as good a Vaishnava as he. The girls are not to select a husband who is very rich or very opulent for mature sense gratification. Rather, if a girl is fortunate enough to get a husband as good as Lord Shiva in devotional service, then her life becomes perfect. The wife is dependent on the husband, and if the husband is a Vaishnava, then naturally she shares devotional service of the husband because she renders him service. This reciprocation of service and love between husband and wife is the ideal of householder's life. Translation once again, Maitreya continued. After the departure of her parents, the chaste woman Devahuti, who could understand the desires of her husband, served him constantly with great love, as Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, serves her husband. So I'm just going to show you the introduction prayers. Please do join in. Om Jnana Timandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manabhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swaya Prabhakata Mayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yud Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishnan Padan Sagana Lalita Shivishakamitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhana Sata Devi Pranamami Hare Priye Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitana pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, welcome once again. I'd like to offer my respectful obeisances and the blessings, seeking the blessings of my special master, Bhakti Churu Swami, Guru Maharaj, Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Churu Swami Tinamane, and also seeking the blessings of Jagat Guru, his co-founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada, Namo Vishnupadaya, Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamane, Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani, Pracharya Nivashesha Sanyavadi, Patishacha Desatarina. Kindly also seek the blessings of all the devotees listening today. Please bestow your causeless mercy so that anything I say will be pleasing, truthful, and beneficial, not only for yourself, but for myself and all the other listeners, in the wonderful glories and topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you. So we heard the wonderful glories of Swayambhuva Manu. He's been compared to all the great spiritual demigods like Lord Brahma, Vayu, Indradev, the sun god Suryanarayan is also compared to like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, by the great sage Kadama Muni. In return, Swayambhuva Manu is also glorifying Kadama Muni to say that he's like a Paramahamsa, is beyond the dualities of material nature, and is completely fixed and dedicated in serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And because of these qualities, Devahuti was very much attracted to this particular personality. And if you're going to remember, Swayambhuva Manu, he's the emperor of the world. For his life duration is like 71 cycles times 4 Chaturayugas. That's almost 4,320,000 years. So times 71 by 4,320,000 years. He's the emperor of the world. From Swayambhuva Manu comes the Manu Samhita, which are the law books of mankind. Swayambhuva Manu is also introduced a Varnashram system, where you have the Brahmanas as the leaders, the Kshatras who take care of society. You have the Vaishyas who are doing all the regular duties, and then you've got the lower class, the Sudras as well. But so ordinarily, Devahuti is living in a life of a luxurious princess. She's got all the luxury in the world. She's got all the jewelry, all the wonderful facilities in her kingdom, in her throne, in her beautiful palaces. She's been taken care of by thousands of maidens, and it mentions about the glories of Swayambhuva Manu is not an ordinary personality, because constantly he's always dedicated in serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's listening to the beautiful hymns, praising, singing early in the morning, during lunchtime, and in the evening before he goes to sleep. These are the verses that we were discovering from last week. Like he's not an ordinary personality, and we also try to imbibe those qualities too by completely focusing on our spiritual activities, always thinking of Krishna and remembering Krishna in every opportunities of our life from the moment that we wake up to the moment that we sleep. So now here we have Kadamba Muni. He's living in a forest, which is surrounded by wildlife, surrounded by, wild trees and berries, and doesn't have all the luxury of the palaces. He's probably living in a very simple hut, but he's very content in his day-to-day activities, just serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, reciting all the glorious prayers, glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, performing his yajna, performing his puja, and his qualities are so nice that Devahuti was very much attracted to him. And that's why the great Emperor Swayambhuva Manu had come specifically to ask for Kadamba Muni to take his daughter Devahuti in Devahuti's hand in marriage. Now, most of you are probably parents. You wouldn't just go to any person and give your daughter your life and your livelihood, your life and soul to any ordinary person. But because he knew Kadamba Muni was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, therefore he had complete faith in Kadamba Muni taking care of his daughter. After all, as Prabhupada mentions earlier on, somewhere along here, the girls are not taught to select a husband who is very rich or very opulent, material sense gratification. Rather, if a girl is fortunate enough to get a husband as good as Lord Shiva in devotional service, then her life becomes perfect. Of course, we can divide the society in different ways, the material activities and also the spiritual activities. But side by side, we have to have that complete faith in Krishna, that when we actually surrender to a husband who is very devoted to Krishna, then certainly Krishna will look after, bestow the family with good blessings and a happy family as well. You may be fortunate because of our past deeds, a husband who is already a devotee, who may be also wealthy as well, which is, of course, because of his good piety in his previous life. Perhaps charitable work, charitable activities, as a brahmana, as a dutiful devotee to our mother and father, and also as a husband as well. So in this lifetime, Krishna is given that wonderful opportunity that he's also a wealthy person. And you see, within ISKCON society, there are many wealthy devotees as well, who dedicate so much and give charity to Krishna in different projects in different sort of ways, supporting the continuous daily activities of serving guests who come to the temple, maintaining the temple, taking care of the deities, buying fresh garlands, flowers for the garlands to be offered to the lordships, and in addition, also giving plenty of money for specific noble programs to establish new temples around the world to carry on with the preaching of the Krishna consciousness movement, to please Srila Prabhupada, to please their spiritual masters. But of course, an intelligent wife will not just necessarily see a husband who is very rich or very opulent, but they will try and see their intelligence by judging the personality of how he is in his Krishna conscious day-to-day activities. Is he surrendered? Is he, following the four regulator principles? Is he initiated? Is he, nowadays we see so many wonderful devotees and marriages that takes place in our society, and we're very fortunate because we live in a world or in our ISKCON society where we can actually pass on wonderful credits of one particular person to another person as well. For instance, my son, he wasn't specifically looking for a daughter, specifically looking for a girl to get married to, but somebody within the Krishna conscious society recommended a particular girl to him. And they got in touch with each other, they spoke to each other, they met with each other, they got to know each other, got to know each other's family. And from there, they developed a very strong, faithful bond, not based on material activities, not based on opulences, not based on how many houses one particular has or what job he has, but more from a spiritual aspect, that they were able to bond with each other. The aspect of a husband taking care of a wife and the family and the children is just as important as well. You want to be able to make sure that you want to be able to be supported by a dutiful husband, not somebody who's just, hanging around, just wanting to be served all the time by his wife, just wants everything to be served on a plate. It has to be like a joint relationship as well, which I'll go into a bit more deeper later on. So now we spoke about the wonderful glories of Kadamba Muni, and also the wonderful glories and the good qualities of the great king, the emperor king of the world, Swayambhuva Manu. Now, in this particular chapter, we speak about the good qualities of Devahuti, who is the mother of Kapila Dev. Kapila Dev, of course, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, an expansion of the Supreme Lord. He came specifically to give the scientific knowledge to Devahuti on Jnana Yoga, which is the relationship of the soul, the super soul, consciousness itself. And there's a book that Srila Prabhupada has produced called The Teachings of Lord Kapila, where Lord Kapila has given all the philosophical discussions about Jnana Yoga to Devahuti, to his mother. It's also been covered in the Srimad Bhagavatam, of course. So here, Srila Prabhupada mentions about the good qualities of Parvati. In the previous life, Parvati was Sati Devi, who was the daughter of Daksha. Daksha is, of course, the son of Brahma, one of the progenitors of the material world. So it just so happened Sati, when she was insulted by her own father, Daksha, because he sort of criticized Lord Shiva. So Sati took up her own life. And in her next life, she became Parvati, who, after very austere meditations and austerities, she performed to get a very wonderful husband like Lord Shiva. And then, because she got married to Lord Shiva, she was also of a very noble family, of a wealthy daughter of a wealthy king as well. But she was happy to live with Lord Shiva. When you look at Lord Shiva, he lives very simple. He has a deer skin or a tie skin around his waist. He has, ashes covered over his body. He has a snake around his neck. And for many, they may feel frightened about his personality when they look at him. But Lord Shiva is actually the greatest Vaishnava, constantly praying on Lord Ramachandra, as Srila Prabhupada mentions in his purport. So Lord Parvati is recognized as Bhavani, who is the wife of Bhava. Bhava is the name of Lord Shiva. So through this qualities of love and affection that she has, shown as an example serving Lord Shiva, that example is also given to Devahuti. She is actually very loyal and always constantly serving Kadamba Muni. Kadamba Muni may not be showing any opulence, any wealth, of course, because he has unlimited spiritual qualities, he could bestow wonderful opulences to Devahuti, which we'll find out later on in the Bhagavatam, in the stories, when he goes on about his dutiful life and his spiritual activities. But Devahuti, she's very content. She's very happy to serve her husband because she knows that whenever she's serving her husband, is doing it because he's serving Lord Vishnu. Therefore, the pious activity is also passed on to the wife as well. So the husband may be performing ritual activities, doing yajna, chanting, reading, doing all kinds of devotional service. But it's not just himself who gets the spiritual benefit, but also a portion of that benefit is passed on to his wife as well. So here it explains about the qualities of Devahuti. Now also Srila Prabhupada also mentions about the qualities of women to be also respectful to their husbands as well. So now, of course, we'll go so much into the political side of it because, of course, I want to try and stay focused on what Srila Prabhupada is saying in the purports and what Srimad Bhagavatam is teaching us as well. Now, of course, in the modern day in society, we can see how in the material world, in the age of Kali Yuga, we're living in a world which is quite male-dominating, where you have male chauvinism, which sort of suppresses women in their sort of role. You know, there's certain monogamy against women, hatred, harassment, abuse, and it's quite prevalent at the moment because women want to speak up for their rights, their independent rights as well. Women starting the Me Too movement because of the way they've been abused by men, the way they've been looked down upon. And you can see within the society as well how in the early stages of Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, and Dwapara Yuga, women were always subordinate to the husbands. The husbands protected the wife and the children, the family, the nations, and the formation of an ashram dham from the brahmanas, from the kshatriyas, from the vaishyas, from the shudras, which I mentioned earlier on. But certainly, the wife, when she is protected by the husband, she has nothing to worry about because she knows that she's been taking care of her husband. And the husband, when he's very dutiful, when he's very sympathetical to his spiritual goals, but also from a material point of view, he's also taking care of his wife, making sure that she's taken care of, not only from a point of security, a point of just money, a good house, good facility like a car or some sort of way where she could splash herself out on a holiday, but more importantly, from emotional point of view, from a value of care and affection, that is very important because sometimes, speak of her as a man, sometimes men don't always understand the feelings of a woman. And sometimes my wife even tells me, you're spending too much time on the computer, spending too much time on this, spending too much time with other people. Spend a bit of time with your family and wife. And certain things, when you start reading the Shastras about the qualities of a good husband, qualities of a good father, a son, it all boils down to reading the stories and the parasams of the great Supreme Personality of Godhead, which it takes place like in the form of Krishna when he's coming as Lord Krishna and Balaram. Is actually as a very dutiful son to his mother and father, both Nanda Maharaj and Devaki, as Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda, as well as to Devaki and Vasudev. He comes as Lord Ramachandra. He becomes a very loyal king. He becomes a very loyal father. He becomes a very loyal son to his father. He becomes a loyal emperor to his kingdom as well, to all the people within his kingdom, and he's also very loyal to his wife as well, Sita Devi. And he takes care of Sita Devi when they're actually exiled in the forest for 14 years. But at the same time, modern people, when you read on the internet, they criticize Lord Ramachandra. They criticize him like he's not really taking care of a woman for protecting her. When somebody criticized that Rama accepted his wife back when when she was taken away and protected by the 10-headed demon Ravana. Of course, these are really, really implicated stories that perhaps even I don't fully understand. And I have to accept by Lord Ramachandra, what he was doing as a king, he was doing for protecting the whole nation. He was setting example for Dharma as well. So somebody may sort of condemn him, saying, well, why did he reject his beautiful Lakshmi Devi? When you take care of Lakshmi Devi, when you take care of your wife, then certainly Lakshmi Devi resides in your house. You have health, good health, you have opulence, you have prosperity. And this is actually stated in the Shastras as well. Taking care of one's wife is a duty of a husband as well. Now, of course, I could go on talking about this and there may be counter arguments. So I'll just focus on the particular topic of this particular verse itself. So within even in ISKCON as well, we see the women are really attracted to spiritual activities. They want to serve their lordships in different ways, singing, doing puja service, making garlands for the Supreme Lord, cooking for the devotees, taking care of the devotees, helping in so many ways. And when you think about how the society, society was established by Srila Prabhupada in the early days, it was actually, many of them were Grihastha devotees, married couples who started the Krishna consciousness movement, the foundation of ISKCON itself, through the mercy, through the instructions, through the empowerment of Srila Prabhupada. When you looked at how England was inundated with Krishna consciousness. 3 couples, 3 married couples had come, who were sent by Srila Prabhupada himself, Mukunda and his wife Janaki, Shamasunda and his wife Malati Mataji, and they also had a daughter as well that they were looking after, Saraswati. So it's just a little baby when they came to the UK in 1968 or 69. And then there was the other one was Gamuni, I think it is. Sorry, I've forgotten his name, but basically his wife's name was Jamuna Devi. Jamuna Devi was a personal cook, an assistant for Srila Prabhupada. She's written many books on Yamuna's cuisine. She also sings the Govindam prayers, which we recite every morning for the morning darshan prayers, not just at Bhaktivedanta Manor, but thousands of temples around the world. So these wonderful devotees, we really can appreciate their loyalty to service Srila Prabhupada in establishing Krishna consciousness. So just going back to the role of a woman, they become very attracted to Krishna consciousness because they see wonderful personalities within the Krishna consciousness movement, within the stories of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We have the stories of Srimati Radharani, Sita Rani, the goddesses like Saraswati Devi, goddesses like the holy rivers, the 9 holy rivers, Ganga, Jamuna, Deva, Gadari, Saraswati, Narmade, Sindhu, Kaveri, Jale. They're all named after spiritual goddesses, wonderful personalities or goddesses like Mother Saraswati, bestows you intelligence, prosperity in your life. You have Lakshmi Devi, who's also the goddess of fortune, gives you prosperity, Lakshmi, wealth, happiness. When you take care of these personalities, then certainly happiness resides in your home as well. Now, one story I remember, my senior god sisters were explaining, like when they came into Krishna consciousness, they were very much attracted to Krishna consciousness in so many ways, and they wanted to come to the temple, but their husbands were so much against them coming to the temple, and they used to come to the temple very secretively, come to the sanghas, come to the temples, do some service, and then eventually, when the husbands found out exactly what they were doing, they were very, very angry, not very supportive, very, very, discouraging to the wives. Why are you going to the temple? What is there that we can't give you that they're giving you? And slowly, slowly, when they started coming to the temple, they also became involved. They became attracted to spiritual masters, to Srila Prabhupada, the philosophy, the temple, the activities, the beautiful lordships, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Lanishwara, and they themselves became initiated themselves. They became our senior authorities and got initiated by His Holiness Bhakti Swami. Not only did the husbands take a lot of responsibilities in helping them with the Mahana congregational community, but also on a yearly basis took care of the needs of many of the devotees, helped in the Pujari service and other departments, and the patron membership and the foundation groups, and also started doing regular retreats as well, where God brothers and God sisters and well-wishers and open to everybody could come to programs where Guru Maharaj would hold programs on a regular basis, not only in the UK, but Europe and other parts of the world as well, America and in India as well. Another example was where, on the other hand, there was a husband, a friend of mine, who was very much into Krishna consciousness. I've known him for 30 years. He used to come to the temple and join the youth group, but his wife and daughter was not so favorable. But somehow or another, he sort of persevered, kept coming to the temple, bringing them Krishna consciousness, prashadam, encouraging them in whatever way they can. And slowly, slowly now, he was telling me just about a couple of months ago, now they've become very much involved in Krishna consciousness. They want to come regularly. They want to participate in spiritual activities, serving prashadam. So it just shows you just a little sort of friendliness, support, reciprocation with one another without rejecting the family. You can actually bring devotees or people who are not so Krishna consciousness in a way that allows them to be attracted to Krishna's activities. Another example I could give you, a friend of mine, I've known him since he was born, a little baby toddler. He's grown up. He's got 2 beautiful children of his own as well. He used to be part of the youth groups, the Mana Youth Forum and Padavasena. and now he does many responsibilities for the Gurukul. He was coming a lot to the temple, helping in the early days for the campaign, spending a lot of times in focusing on a lot of the mana activities. Just if those devotees who were there during the days of the campaign, there was a lot of pressure, a lot of burden going at, encouraging people to support the temple from being closed by the council. This was in the 90s. It was actually closed indefinitely by the council, but then we sort of campaigned to keep it open, and we won a court case, and a brand new beautiful road from the other side of the temple was built, which is called Bhaktivedanta Marg, which is an amazing opportunity. And some 60, 70, 80 acres were also built at the same time. Otherwise, it would have been just contained to 17 acres. So although the difficulties of the campaign was Krishna's test to us, but it opened a wealth of new opportunities. But anyway, this young boy at the time, he was used to come regularly at the temple, but he neglected his family duties and his studies as well. And the parents were very much against it. They complained a lot to the temple authorities. But one day, the mother was given the opportunity of serving Srila Prabhupada by cleaning his altar, his Vyasa, as you see, the morning, every day after the morning program, after class, devotees volunteered to clean the altar around Srila Prabhupada's Vyasa at Bhaktivedanta Manor. And she became so attracted by just doing this simple service that emotions of tears and spiritual connections came, and revelation came about her, and she became very much involved in supporting her son, supporting Krishna consciousness in different ways, became part of the Hare Krishna festival, went on daily programs, to outreach programs. They supported the temple in so many ways. So a little change in life allows them to come connected to Krishna in so many ways. Another example, which is, of course, an example by Srila Prabhupada, it could have the opposite feeling as well. Srila Prabhupada, if you read the Prabhupada Lilamrita, he tried so hard with his family, his wife, Radharani, has such a beautiful name. Of course, when in the early days, she was very favorable, supporting her husband, but later on, as Srila Prabhupada became more focused in serving his spiritual master, whenever he had guests come into his house, he wanted to spiritually entertain them in Krishna conscious activities, encourage preaching mission and serving his spiritual master's order. But the wife and the children were not at all helpful at all in whatever way. Srila Prabhupada asked them in every way possible, but they weren't interested. Perhaps here and there they would. In fact, Srila Prabhupada's manuscripts were sold off, perhaps by, yes, it was actually by his own wife, so she could buy some tea, so she could have tea with her chai. So this was like the last straw that Srila Prabhupada took. So he decided to leave the family and then take sannyas. And just because he left his family, which some people may say, well, he should have carried on, stayed with the family and supported them. But then if he hadn't, he wouldn't have thousands and thousands of children, daughters who look upon him as his own father, spiritual authorities, daughters who have become spiritual leaders within ISKCON as well. You see Vishaka Mataji, she's the temple president of the Bhaktivedanta Manor. She was so senior, she served Srila Prabhupada as a photographer, along with her husband, Yadubha Prabhu, serving Srila Prabhupada, serving ISKCON in the early days. And if you were living in ISKCON in the early days, it's not easy, cold water, living on the floor, not opulent prasadam as it was in the early days. Facilities were very simple. Now we're very, very fortunate. When you go to Bhaktivedanta Manor, it's like a palace, prasadam on a plate, hot heating, nice hot water when you turn on the taps, facilities provided just to serve the devotees, all the guests, so they feel welcomed in such a way that they would return again and again and again. If you lived in a monastery life where it's completely cold, very simple, just simple flooring, bedding, people may think twice about living in a life of an ashram as a brahmachari or as a brahmacharini. And one thing with that, we have to really, really, really be grateful to Srila Prabhupada. Because of Srila Prabhupada, he introduced brahmacharini. I don't think there was a word called brahmacharini. Brahmachari, yes, for where teachers, children were trained up in a Gurukul, they become really good brahmacharis to go into the next stage. of Grihastha, then Vanaprastha, then sannyas. Brahmacharinis weren't, ladies weren't allowed to stay in the ashram, it was forbidden. Even now, when you go to the temples in India, you don't see any ladies staying in the ashram, they're all living outside. The ladies don't even serve the deity department or certain duties because they still have this strict reflection based on traditions for many generations. But Srila Prabhupada in the West, he opened an opportunity that nobody could actually see ever at all, where we could actually allow women to take initiation, second initiation, take on responsibilities on leading the society. We have so many wonderful authorities. I know in the last 20 years, there's been constant debates going backwards and forwards whether ladies can be initiated to become a guru. You know, somehow or another, a lady may feel more sort of connected to speaking to a spiritual authority who is a lady rather than a man. Maybe certain personal sort of confidential knowledge that they may want to share that they may not feel easy to share to a man. There's nothing wrong with that. We should actually support women who are actually wanting to lead a spiritual authority level as well, because Krishna consciousness is not just based on a gender, it's not based on culture, faith, it's not based on who's got the most money, it's not based on who's got the highest knowledge, spiritual knowledge, it's not based on who's been serving the temple for the longest time. It's based on our devotion in serving our spiritual master, and able to serve those who would also become attracted to Krishna consciousness as well. So we have wonderful speakers. We have Urmila Bhattaji, we have Devaki Bhattaji. She's written so many beautiful books, as I mentioned also. We have Vishaka Bhattaji, Malati Bhattaji. She came recently to Bhaktivedanta Manor. She spoke so beautifully and always. She's been a temple in ISKCON for since 1965, 66. And she still serves Srila Prabhupada in New Vrindavan. We have Devaki Bhattaji, I mentioned earlier on. She's written so many wonderful books on Grihastha Ashram as well. So many things that I could carry on, but also this is based on the qualities of a woman, based on the qualities of a wife. You know, it mentions about the qualities of a wife being very obedient, very loyal, very devoted, serving the husband, because she's very sweet in her mannerisms, she's pleasing to the husband. The husband also shows that kindness, that affection to the wife as well, that kindness, affection to the children. It's not that the wife is just cleaning the house, the wife is cooking all day long, the wife is doing the shopping all day long, the wife is preparing the need for the husband all day long. The husband may be working in such a way that he can provide security, money, house, all the paid off the bills, so forth, facilities for them to go on holiday. But it's not just based on security, but it's also based on love and affection, which I mentioned earlier on. I'm just going to share a verse, if somebody's happy to read a verse, and the purport as well. This is from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, Opulence of the Absolute, chapter 10, verse 34. Anybody would like to recite this verse?
Yes, Prabhuji, may I?
Yes, Sri Kishore Bhattaji, go ahead, please.
Hare Krishna. Mrityu sarvaharascham chaham udbhavascha bhavishyatam kirtihi shririr bhakcha narainam smritir medhadriti krishamam.
And the
Translation. I am all devouring death, and I am the generating principle of all that is yet to be. Among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience.
And if you could read from the purport from the 7 opulences listed.
The 7 opulences listed, fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience, are considered feminine. If a person possesses all of them or some of them, he becomes glorious. If a man is famous as a righteous man, that makes him glorious. Sanskrit is a perfect language and is therefore very glorious. If after studying one can remember a subject matter, he is gifted with a good memory or smrti. and the ability not only to read many books on different subject matters, but to understand them and apply them when necessary is intelligence, medha, another opulence. The ability to overcome unsteadiness is called firmness or steadfastness, dhriti. And when one is fully qualified, yet is humble and gentle, and when one is able to keep his balance both in sorrow and in the ecstasy of joy, he has the opulence called patience, kshama.
Thank
Hare
you so
Krishna.
much. Thank you. So
Thank
this
you.
is wonderful qualities that mentions about their feminine qualities, of course, but then specifically Krishna says amongst women and fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience. So somebody may sort of say, well, another purpose, anyway, please forgive me if I say this, sometimes it's always a big of discrepancy. It says that women are less intelligent, but you have to remember, you have to read the whole purport. It's not that women are less intelligent. What it's saying is that those who are not actually serving the principles of Vaishnava life, those who are not actually adhering to Shastra, those who are not adhering to the principles of religious duties, in other words, those who are very much into mundane activities, those who are into activities which are not favorable in coming into the mode of goodness, they are considered less intelligent. But in amongst Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, there's no differences at all. It's just a matter of independent personality, the nature that they're surrendering, their depth of level of surrender to serving the devotees and serving Krishna himself. So although these possessions, these qualities, is not necessarily also reflected on a women, Prabhupada further mentions about these qualities also can refer to men who are behaving in a way that actually attracts others to come to Krishna as well. I hope that's clear. Just for time, I was going to speak a little bit more, but I'm just going to go to text 2, if that's okay now. This is verse 2 from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Vishambenatma Suchaina Gauravena Damena Cha Shushushaya Suridena Vacha Madhurya Cha Boho. Translation of Vidura: Devahuti served her husband with intimacy and great respect and control of the senses, with love and with sweet words. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Here two words are very significant. Devahuti served her husband in two ways, Vishrambena and Gauravena. There are two important processes in serving the husband or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vishrambena means with intimacy. Gauravena means with great reverence. The husband is a very intimate friend, therefore the wife must render service just like an intimate friend. And at the same time, she must understand that the husband is superior in position, and thus she must offer him all respect. So just before I go on, if I could just break this up, one thing that really struck my mind was this particular mention. These are two important processes in serving the husband, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So you have to remember the duty that we have towards one another in the Vaishnava sort of family, that we're serving somebody in relations to considering that we're serving them on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or Goddess Lakshmi. Supposing you're serving your wife, you may think that you're serving your wife from a material point of view, if you're a sort of material sort of if your objective is material. But from a spiritual objective, when you serve your wife, you're actually serving Lakshmi Devi. Similarly, when you serve the husband, from your objective point of view, when it's in relation to Krishna consciousness, like offering food to Krishna so the burger becomes prasad, then certainly when you give that to your husband as well, then you're indirectly serving your husband as a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So just to give that clarification as well. So the two words that Srila Prabhupada mentions here, Vishrambena and Gauravena. So Vishrambhena means with intimacy. So you have some loyalty, some love, some affection. It's not just done ad hoc, or it's not just done because it's a duty, or it's because your mother tells you, or if you want to develop a good relationship, you have to do it. If you want to do it, that comes from your heart as well. Gauravena, with great reverence. So you see your husband as a representative of Krishna, just like you see your spiritual master as a representative of Krishna. In return, the husband also gives love, faith, and spiritual advice to their dutiful and intimate friend, who is their wife as well. So I'll just read this passage again. The husband is a very intimate friend, therefore the wife must render service just like an intimate friend, and at the same time she must understand that the husband is superior in position. Thus she must offer him all respect. So here, when we talk about husband in superior position, we have to understand what Srila Prabhupada is actually meaning. It's from a psychological point of view, not from a spiritual point of view. Man's psychology and woman's psychology are different, as constituted by bodily frame. A man always wants to be superior to his wife, and a woman, as bodily constituted, is naturally inferior to her husband. Thus, the natural instinct is that the husband must suppose himself as superior to the wife, and this must be observed. Even if there is some wrong on the part of the husband, the wife must tolerate it, and thus there will be no misunderstanding between husband and wife. Vashrambhena means with intimacy, but there must not be a familiarity that breeds contempt. According to the Vedic civilization, a wife cannot call her husband by name. The present civilization, the wife calls her husband by name, but in Hindu civilization she does not. Thus the inferiority or superiority complexes are recognized. Dhamena cha, a wife has to learn to control herself even if there's a misunderstanding. Sridena vacha madhuraya means always desiring good for the husband, speaking to him with sweet words. Person becomes agitated by so many material contacts in the outside world, therefore in this home life must be treated by his wife with sweet words. So there's a lot of reflection about the qualities of a wife to a husband, the qualities of a husband to his wife too. So here where we're talking about the physical nature, may seem that the husband is bigger by nature and he does certain activities that the wife may not be able to do, bigger chores, taking care of the DIY, taking care of the difficulties that the wife may not be able to easily do, whereas the wife does the more simple things in household duties. But of course, in modern days, we have this responsibility that both take that responsibility as well. But from a spiritual perspective, we still understand the wife is still duty-bound to her husband. And if the husband is very loyal and very kind and caring, he also acts as a subordinate person to his wife as well. He listens to his wife. The wife, in return, gives sweet, encouraging words, encourages him. The husband may have had a hard day at work, he's gone through like a lot of meetings, dealing with certain complex issues, even like ensuring that, as I mentioned earlier on, certain activities they may have to do that the woman may not be able to do, taking responsibilities, pay the bills, certain activities. But nowadays, things have changed a lot where the woman also goes to work, also earns some money to support the family, because certainly in the West, where living conditions are not so easy, taxes are going up, utility bills are going up, taxes are forevermore increasing again and again. Money's been taken away through taxes, through our pension, through our wages. But if you work in harmony, supporting each other, supporting your family, especially one thing I just wanted to mention about the husband must also not consider himself an example where he could do whatever he wants to, so he can show his authority. That's really important. But he must do those activities in accordance to the principles of Dharma, according to the stories of Srimad Bhagavatam, like I mentioned about the qualities of Lord Ramachandra. As a very good husband, a good father, good son as well. We have to try to emulate those qualities as well. emulate the qualities of Kadama Muni, emulate the qualities of Swayambhuva Manu. They're not just like here, just for example, for hearsay, like some poetry or some narration or some fictitious story. It is actually something that we also have to try and emulate. But importantly, we don't try and make those mistakes again and again. The wife may be forgiven, but if the husband keeps on making the same mistakes, then certainly there's something wrong with the husband. And he has to reflect on himself, how he should come out of those situations where he's causing disturbance, causing anxiety, causing fear, causing stress, discomfort to his wife, where she's not feeling happy in her married life and unnecessarily goes through separation, divorce, which causes unnecessary stressful situation to children, family, life, friendships, so many things, loss of the house that you've lived together in harmony, the beautiful offerings, the temples that you've lived together in such a nice way. If you carry on living in a harmonious way, certainly it helps. And I have to admit, even myself, yes, married life isn't easy as well. We've had wonderful authorities who've guided us, supporting us in our marriage, in raising our children in a Christian conscious way. And my sort of confidential message to all of you, message to children who are getting married, it's such a wonderful feeling when children get married. Happiness, flowers, big feast, opulence, weddings, everybody dressed up nicely, everybody's happy, everybody's greeting each other. Such a wonderful spiritual occasion. But those days suddenly turn into difficulties later on in our stage, as there are 4 stages in our married life. First of all, there's infatuation when you love each other so much. This matter if it's raining, sunny, if you've got no money or not, your love for somebody, nothing sort of bothers you at all. Then there's that irritation stage when you sort of understand each other's personality, get a bit affected by one's behavior to another person. Then there's that stage of concern where you have that concerning feeling for one another. You may have some difficulties. You're starting to understand each other's problems. You start to develop and mend your relationship to support one another, support the family. And there's that final stage, friendship stage. And that's what Srila Prabhupada mentions. When you become good friends with your husband and you become good friends with your wife, then you develop a good relationship. Somewhere along the line there. With great reverence, the husband is very intimate friend. Therefore, the wife must render, the wife must render service just like an intimate friend, and at the same time, she must understand. I won't read that portion. The main thing I wanted to point out, becoming an intimate friend. And if you could go through those stages from infatuation, irritation stage, concern stage, the final stage, friendship, that certainly helps you in your spiritual life. So once again, I ask for your blessings for allowing me to speak today. Forgive me if I've made any mistakes. If there are any comments or questions, please, after the bhajan, maybe we could reflect on those questions and comments. Thank you very much, and I'll pass it out to Sri Kishori Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for the very nice class. Thank you. So, dear devotees, today we have Nikhil Prabhuji, who is going to sing a beautiful bhajan by the name of Krishna Tava Punya Habe Bhai. And dear Indira Mataji will be reading the English translation before Prabhuji sings the bhajan. Krishna Govinda Prabhuji, would you be able to share the lyrics on the screen, please?
Yeah, sure. Just give me 1 second.
Thank you.
Nikhil, could you just remind me the song, please?
Krishna Tava Punya Habe Bhai by Srila Prabhupada.
So it's here.
Yeah, you just passed it. Yeah.
This one?
See Krishna Tava Punya Habibhai at the top.
Oh, yeah. Krishna Tava. I was looking for Krishna Punya.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, just scroll to the translation. Are
That's
you
the
reading the
one.
translation too?
Yes,
Or-
if Indira Mataji is ready to read the English translation, please. Hare Krishna, Indira
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji, Hare Krishna everyone. I am ready.
Thank you.
Okay,
Go
so
ahead, please.
Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is very dear to Lord Gauranga, the son of Mother Sachi, who is unparalleled in his service to the Supreme Lord Krishna. He is the great saintly spiritual master, most magnanimous within this universe, who bestows devotion to Krishna in various places throughout the world. His desire is very powerful, and thus he is causing the holy name of Lord Gauranga to spread throughout all the countries of the Western world, in all the cities, towns, and villages on the earth, extending to all the oceans, rivers, and streams. Everyone may chant the names of Krishna and Rama. Thus all directions will be conquered by the flood of transcendental ecstasy, flowing with the excessive mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when all the miserable living entities that have been corrupted by Maya become happy, and then the Vaishnava's desire is fulfilled. Although my Guru Maharaj ordered me to accomplish this mission, I am unworthy to do it, being very fallen and incompetent. That being the case of Lord Krishna, your mercy is today arising in the befitting manner to make me become worthy, for you are the wisest of all. If you bestow your divine power, then one attains the factual substance, which is service to the spiritual master, and life becomes successful. If that service is obtained, then one becomes truly satisfied and ultimately receive your association due to good fortune. As stated by Prahlad Maharaj to Lord Narasimhadev in Srimad Bhagavatam 7.9.28, thus by associating with material desires one after another, I was following the general populace by falling into the blind well full of snakes. O dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, then the great sage Narad Muni kindly accepted me as his disciple and instructed me how to achieve the transcendental position similarly to his own. How could I ever leave the service of your servant? O Lord Krishna, you are my eternal companion. Forgetting you, I have suffered the kicking of Maya birth after birth. If today the chance to meet you occurs again, then surely I will be able to rejoin you. O my dear brother, in your company I will experience great joy once again, wandering about the pastures and fields. I will pass the entire day with you, tending the cows, joking with you, and frolicking throughout so many forests of Vraja. I will enjoy pastimes of stealing and eating one another's lunch. When, oh, when will that day be mine? Today, that remembrance of being with you came to me in very nice way. Feeling grey, longing, I call out to you, O Lord Krishna, only because I am your eternal servant do I desire your association so much. Except for you, I have no other refuge. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, Mataji, for reading the translation. Yeah, as it says at the end, this is actually one of the two songs that Srila Prabhupada wrote on the Jaladuta ship in 1965. So obviously a very special song. I thought it was a good choice of bhajan for two reasons. Obviously, it's the marathon time, so devotees are even more focused on Srila Prabhupada, thinking even more about Srila Prabhupada during this time. And then also because tomorrow is the disappearance day of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So there's a lot of focus on him in this bhajan. So that's another reason why I thought it was a nice choice. And obviously it's a very special bhajan, not just because it's written by Srila Prabhupada, but also gives a tiny hint of something that Srila Prabhupada never used to talk about, in terms of his real inner feelings and perhaps what his position might be, which, usually he wouldn't really talk about. And here it's only just hinted, but, it's interesting. We don't really hear much about that. Anyway, Hare Krishna. Krishna tava punya habe bhai. Krishna tava punya habe bhai. E punya koribe jabe Radharani sukhi habe Dhuvati boli to matai. E punya koribe jabe Radharani sukhi habe Dhuvati boli to matai. Shri Siddhanta Saraswati Shachi Sutta Priyati Krishna Sevai Jar Tulanai. Se Mahanta Guru Jagate Madhe Uru Krishna Bhakti De Thai Thai. Tara Icha Balavan Paschatyete Than Than Hoi jate Gaurangera Nam. Prithivite Nagaradi Asamudra Nada Nadi Sakale Bole Krishna Ram. Tahare Ananda Hoy Tabe Hoy Digvijay Chaitanyera Kripati Shoy. Maya dushta jata dukhi jagate sabhai sukhi Vaishnaveri cha purna hoy. Se karja je koribare agya jadi dilo more jogya nahi ati dinahina. Tai se tomara kripa magite chi anurupa aji tumi sabha pravina. तुम्हारा से शक्ति पेले गुरु से बाय वस्तु मिले जीवन सार्थक जर्दी होय. से सेवा पाइले ताहले सुखी हले तब संग भाग्य ते मिलोय. एवं जनम निपतितं प्रभवाहि कूपे कामाभिकाममनुया प्रपतन् प्रसंगात् कृत्वात्मसात् सुरशिणा भगवन् गृहीता सोऽहं कथं नु विसृजे तव भृत्य सेवाम्. তুমি মোর চিরসাথী ভুলিয়া মায়া লাথি খাইয়াছি জন্ম জন্মান্তরে আজি পুনঃ এ সুযোগা যদি হয় যোগা যোগা তবে পারি তুনে মিলিবারে তোমার মিলনে ভাই আবাসে সুখ পাই গোচরণে ঘুরি দিন ভোর কত বনে ছুটা ছুটি भने খাই লুটা লুটি সেই দিন কবে হবে মোর আজি সে সুবিধা হলা তোমার স্মরণ ভেলা বোরা আশা ডাকিলাম তাই আমি তোমার নিত্য দাস তাই করি এতো আশ তুমি বিনা অন্য গতি নাই Krishna tava punya habe bhai. Krishna tava punya habe bhai. E punya koribe jabe Radharani sukhi habe dhuvati boli tomatai. Krishna tava punya habe bhai. Krishna tava punya habe bhai. E punya koribe jabe Radharani sukhi habe Dhuvati boli tomatai. Dhuvati boli tomatai. Shishi Gaura Nitai ki jai, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare
Hari
Krishna.
Bol,
Thank
Hari
you so
Bol.
much,
Very
everyone.
nice, Nikhil Prabhuji. Very nice. Beautifully sung. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nikhil Prabhu. That was really nice. And also you put in the chat group that sixth person was Guru Das. Guru Das's wife was the wonderful Jamuna Devi, who I mentioned, was sings the morning prayers every day that we listen to. And also, thank you for reminding me of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Disappearance Day. I completely
Yeah.
forgot. And one of the notes I put on my book for today's class was when I was mentioning about Shapapa, we're really grateful to him because he introduced the initiation of women into within ISKCON. And it just so happened that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had also initiated a German lady into the Sampradaya as well in the obviously 1900s. So thank you for reminding me that as well. So thank you, everyone. Please have a wonderful week and do continue to, as Prabhuji mentioned about the Christmas book marathon, to please Srila Prabhupada. Try your best to distribute a book to your friends, colleagues, family members, anybody, or even to yourself, and the opportunity to participate in the Gita Yagya as well. His Holiness Kesava Maharaj will be reciting, or at least be given the summary of each of the chapters. So please come and join us on that. I think that's on the 28th or 27th or 28th of December. Just double check on the Bhaktivedanta Manor website. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. So glory to Prabhupada. Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya.
Yacca kripa
Kripa Sindhubhya
sindhubhya
Evacha.
eva cha
Patitanam
patitanam
Pavanebhyo
pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo namo
Namo
namaha.
Namaha.
Ananta Koti
Jantakota
Vaishnava Vrinda
Vaishnavrinda
ki
Ki
jai. Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki
Ki Jai.
jai. All glories, all glories, all glories. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Thank you, Prabhu.